Okay, let's go.
We're recording?
We're recording.
All right. Do we want to switch off who reads this every time? Or.
I don't know if it matters.
Okay.
Did you read it last time? Did I read it last time?
I think I read it last time.
Okay. This is Burn This Book, a banned books book club where we, Nicolle and Eden, read a banned or challenged book each month and discuss its meaning, impact, and censorship to make it more accessible for all readers. This month's book is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, by Judy Blume, which was published in 1970 as juvenile fiction. This book has been challenged for 2 whole decades.
2 whole decades.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. I've heard a lot about this book, but have not read it until recently. And the cover of the edition I read has like a little text speech bubbles, which for some reason made me angry because they didn't have those in the 1970s.
Wait, did you read it digitally?
No, I read it a physical copy.
Oh, that is annoying.
Yeah.
Ew. Ew. Who published that one?
I don't know.
Ew. Something we found is me and Eden are super picky about font, sizing,
and title.
And covers.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, we went shopping at our local bookstore to find future books that we'll be reading, and we passed up on several copies because we didn't like their covers.
Yeah, the covers gave us gross feelings, if you know what I mean. Okay, let's talk about this book.
Yeah, let's start off with a quick summary. We'll just do quick recaps.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, so what I got from this book is the story of a young girl in 1970, coming of age, prepubescent, who's exploring her ever-changing, not exploring, but she's navigating her ever-changing body while also, surprisingly, navigating religion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is wild.
Yeah, and to build off on that, I also got, like, learning how to trust herself, especially in navigating religion, but also through middle school, and what other people say versus what she wants and for herself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Are You There, God? It's me, Margaret.
Something that I really want to talk to Eden about is she told me after she finished reading it, she was like, now I'm not going to send my kid to like public school or something. It was like a text message, and I was like, I hadn't even started the book yet, and I was like, what? I was expecting it to be like salacious, and it just reminded me of like watching a Brady Bunch episode where like Marsha's talking about wanting to get her period. I'm sure there isn't that episode, but it felt like that, and I was like, this is what convinced you not to go to...
That's not to
send your kid to... Okay, what did convince you?
What convinced me was the neighbor girl. I'm just like, oh my gosh, but I have to deal with girls like that?
Okay, let's give some background on who this neighbor girl is.
Okay, neighbor girl. Forgot her name.
I think it's Nancy?
Nancy, that's right. So Nancy is kind of just like she feels like a Regina George, a budding Regina George from Mean Girls. And so that's really the number one reason why I would want to not send my kid to public school is because of other kids, right? So this just like further solidified that because I'm like, I don't want Nancy's in my life or my baby's life. Like, no, thank you. And then like needing to figure out how to navigate that club and everything.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so some background on what Eden's saying. So Nancy is this little neighbor girl. So the story starts up. What's the protagonist's name? I don't even remember.
Margaret.
Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
It's me, the protagonist.
So Margaret is this little girl. She's from New York City. Her dad is Jewish. Her mom is Christian. And they when she's about like 11 years old, her
Mm-hmm.
family moves from the city to New Jersey. And like the first day they're in their new house in New Jersey in the suburbs, this little girl named Nancy comes over. And the image of Nancy I had, if you've seen Bob's Burgers, it's like that one girl who like tries to like make
Tammy?
Yeah, Tammy. It's very
Voiced
Tammy.
by, like, Jenny Slate?
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, I think it is Jenny Slate.
Mm-hmm.
Where she's just like obsessed with boys,
Mm-hmm.
knows everything, but she actually doesn't know anything. But she like talks
Mm-hmm.
about like bodies and puberty, and she's just like the hot girl on campus. She's got a lot of swimming suits. She's just like this little liar and just kind of like really like. I'm hot. I'm hot. You stay in my group. You do it. And like the first thing she tells Margaret is, "Don't wear socks to school because everyone's gonna make fun of you."
Yeah.
So then Margaret doesn't wear socks, and Margaret's all nervous, and Margaret like starts getting nervous about like not having her period because Nancy's like, "You've got to have your period. Everyone's doing it," kind of thing. And they have like, she creates this like secret club, Nancy does, and Margaret's just like there, and Nancy's like, "Okay." And she introduces them to this like exercise to get their busts bigger, and like
We must increase our busts.
and they like chant it with each other like
And they,
25 times.
Oh, I imagine the exercise more like this, like
Oh,
running
really?
in place.
Running? I was picturing just like chest bumps,
Yeah.
like over and over again. But
Because it was so cute. Just like, that was the part that I really thought was super cute, was when Margaret said, like, she prays to God after every
yeah, chapter.
and just tells him about, or her.
Whatever heavenly being.
Yep.
There might be.
Yeah, tells God that
I don't know why we both laughed so hard when you said it. Me and Eden are so sexist. We think it's funny.
Yep.
Go on.
I just love the idea of like an 11-year-old girl just before bed, especially with my exercise of just like running in place with just your arms and just going, we must increase our bust. And she says she did that like 35 times. Before bed. And I thought that was just such a cute image.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
It's so cute. It is like, all of it is like very much like, when I realized that it was written and published in like 1970, I pictured my mom, who was born in 1959, so she would have been 11 at that time. And just like those questions for me as an 11-year-old in 2005?
Wait.
No. 2003?
2003.
2003. As an 11-year-old in 2003, I wasn't really thinking about my period that much. I wasn't like feeling pressure to get my period. I remember, like, I went to a charter school, and I remember some people had like, I knew that there was a girl that was like pretty developed by the time I was in 5th grade, and I wasn't, and I've always been kind of small everywhere, and so I don't know, but I remember I got my period in 5th grade, but I didn't, like, none of my friends knew. Yeah. Like, I didn't really, it wasn't something I was praying to God about, getting my period. Like, it didn't feel like that was like the end all. And maybe my family dynamic was different. Maybe other girls have had different experiences, but I couldn't really relate to this story. But I think my mom would have. It just felt very much like white kids in the 70s.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Very much. And they played like Spin the Bottle at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And they just kissed each other on the cheeks. Like, just like, it's just a very much coming of age, like flirting. First interactions, flirting, kind of thing. I don't know why. I don't get what the big deal was with it.
Yeah, I have guesses on why it was banned. By how everyone reacted to turning red.
That's so true.
Yeah, it's just kind of bonkers that this is a challenged book. Part of me also thinks it might be because there is talk of religion in it, and specifically that they did cast somewhat of a negative light on the Christian parents who, what's that word? Disowned their daughter because she married a Jewish man.
Yeah. Like, there's a scene in the book where her maternal grandparents, who she's never met before, come and visit, and they like they have an agenda to make sure that she gets baptized. And her nuclear family, her and her parents, are very intent on like not being religiously affiliated just because of the harm it's caused in their marriage. And so they really want Margaret to not do that and get involved with religion until she's old enough to make her own mind up. And so the book does go through where she's like praying to God, and it's always about puberty or kissing or, you know, just like really silly, cute stuff. And then she has like this teacher who's young, a first-year male teacher. And they kind of set it up like the teacher's going to be like a bad guy.
Yeah.
And he's not. He's just normal. Like, it was kind of just like a lot of things that could have been climactic that just like fell flat in the book. It was I think literally just a little girl talking about her period the whole time.
And I think it's because that's how a lot of middle schoolers talk about things. Like, it's like, oh, we have a male teacher. Like, well, I heard this and I heard that. And like, I remember those rumors happening in middle school. It was just like, oh, this male teacher is a creep because he because XYZ.
Yeah.
But if those were actually true, he wouldn't be working there.
At least he shouldn't be. Yeah.
At least he shouldn't be. And I mean, it goes back to like how everyone said that Steve from Blue's Clues left because he like molested children. But he came out like a couple years, or maybe like last year.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, I just went to college.
I just didn't want to do this show anymore.
I gave it to my brother because like I had the opportunity to go to college.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like a very middle school thing to do, is to just make up stories about other people.
Yes.
And like we see that with Laura, who in the book, who is more physically matured. Everyone just keeps on talking about how she like does stuff with boys under the bleachers, and turns out she's pretty religious herself, and she's like appalled that people are saying those things about her.
She's another classmate. We don't get to know her too much in the book.
Not
outside of the rumors.
Outside of the rumors.
Yeah.
And I think that's how middle school is too.
I agree with you.
It's like, oh, we don't really know much except that Philip is the cute boy and we all want to kiss him. But he's kind of a turd too.
Yeah.
So, but like he's cute. So.
But we're supposed to like him.
Yeah.
And she even goes into that. Like she says that she likes Philip because her little secret club makes her say who she likes. But she actually likes this boy named Moose or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, like, there's just, like, I feel like this book, 11-year-old Nicolle would have loved this book. I would have been like, yes, hot goss, yes, my mind, yes, talking to God, yes, all of these things, this is me. I get it, this is salacious, this is flirty. As a 29-year-old, almost 30, it's just kind of a dumb book that I feel is very of the 1970s era. It's very Brady Bunch to me.
Yeah.
It's very much like, and then little Jimmy, I saw him at the dance and he winked at me and I didn't know what to do, so I wrote in my journal for 3 days straight, and then my mom made me wear the weird dress and I was so mortified, and then I had pudding at the dinner party. And it got on my face and everyone said it was poo. Like it's very much like, it's just a silly child, like little girl book with like very real feelings in there, but it's not a very mature read.
Not very mature.
No.
And, like, at face value, it's not much.
Yeah, I was, like, looking for, like, really messed up stuff to happen because it's been challenged.
But,
So, I was framing it like, oh, well, then the male teacher, he's going to do something bad.
Yeah.
Or, oh, they're really going to come to, like, something with this religion talk.
Yeah.
It's going to get intense. Or, like, she's gonna really kiss a boy. Like, really kiss him.
Yeah.
But nothing happened. Like, end, the big finale was she got her period.
Yeah. She got her period. She did, that male teacher did put out an assignment for the whole class that they had to do, like, an experiment from that time till the end of school. And her experiment was to find a religion. And at the end, she didn't find one. And she wrote, like, a really heartfelt letter. It's like, hey, like, this didn't work out.
Yeah, I went to Mass, I went to
synagogue.
I went to all these places, and I didn't feel God anywhere. And there's, like, a point where she does get angry at God. But it's still very, like, it's very wholesome and very childlike. Like, her anger is like, I just haven't felt you anywhere.
Yeah.
Then trying to understand that. And I think, I don't know, even as a little Christian girl, I would have loved it. Because I love reading about other little praying kids, because that is a language I understand. That's how I process things, is through prayer. So it didn't, like, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, God must not be real if she couldn't find him.
But she also ends the book in, like, a prayer of gratitude and just saying, like, hey, like, just to let you know, like, I got my period, and I know you wouldn't miss it for the world. So, like,
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
So cute.
So cute.
Yeah.
And just, like, even though she feels like she didn't find God, like, she, in her own way, found God.
Yeah, it was tender.
Yeah.
And maybe in the 70s, that was, like, a horror, like, a terrifying thing to have kids be that self-aware or that introspective about big topics like deity.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe today parents are still afraid of that, but I don't know why. Like, this was clearly a coping mechanism for that little girl in this book.
Yeah.
This fictional book.
Yeah.
But, like,
and
so I don't know.
Yeah. And I think it really highlights to young kids how difficult it is. Not necessarily difficult. I didn't get the sense that, like, oh, this is so hard. But maybe at that age I would have. But, like, the hard work of needing to find answers for yourself versus listening to others people gossip or thoughts or opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, her parents had opinions on how she should live her life, which is not affiliated.
Mm-hmm.
Her grandparents had opinions about how their children, Margaret's parents, should be living their religion. Nancy had a lot of opinions.
A little liar.
A little liar. And, like, yeah, every kid at school will have thoughts and opinions about everything and about everyone. And you just have to navigate that yourself in the way that makes sense to you.
Yeah. I think...
Because there are answers to it.
No.
It's like, yeah, Nancy's right about this stuff, but she's wrong about that stuff. It's not that black and white.
Yeah. I think it brings me back to what we've talked about with Maurice Sendak, is that, like, this little girl, even though the book was really trivial and silly, what her parents were going through, like, she was still a kid very aware of the religious strife that her parents have gone through and the trauma that they still were sitting in. And she was very aware of how to be sensitive to that and not talk to her parents about her little experiments that she was doing with God. And she knew she couldn't tell her parents that she was praying to God because it would hurt them too much because of what they've all gone through. Like, she was so aware of these things at such a young age and trying to navigate them on her own, that I think what a gift it would be to, like, if you're in a family that's interfaith or, like, or that has left faith or that doesn't identify with any faith, what a gift this book would be to be like, yeah, like, this is a real thing, and you're not a bad person for trying to understand it at this age.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be, like, very naive to say that kids aren't talking about religion at a young age and trying to navigate God, especially with the way our media is and our elections have been, and
with how curious kids are in general. Just, like, kids are... My baby's not talking yet, but eventually...
She's curious as heck.
Yeah. She'll be asking a lot of questions.
Oh, you better believe it, if I have anything to do with it. So yeah, so what, do you have any other points? I don't have anything else to say about this.
Oh, I just was on Judy Blume's website, which is so charming and cute.
That. Can you tell me about Judy?
Judy, there's not... Well... I don't have, like, her whole biography in front of me.
I know.
But I do know she did grow up in New Jersey.
Oh. Yeah. We have a lot of books of her books on our list. Mm-hmm. So, which is wild to me.
She's, like, one of the most challenged authors.
She and Toni Morrison.
Yeah.
Just, like, fascinating. So, we will dig into Judy at another time. This book just wasn't the book for that.
This book wasn't the book. But she did have, like, a lot of... She had, like, a whole tab dedicated to censorship on her website.
Whoa.
Because she is so highly challenged and censored. And she talked about how she got a phone call once, which blows my mind. I was reading David Sedaris' book of diaries, published diaries, and how back in phone book days, you could just look up an author that you loved and call them. And he would, like, chat with them on the phone, which is brilliant. But anyway, Judy got a phone call. And she said, and she heard the other person ask, "Are you the author who wrote, 'Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret'?" And she said, "Yes, it is." And then the caller called Judy a communist for writing it and then hung up. Like,
just what on earth? Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
She's literally just talking about periods.
Yeah, and like to go from that, I'm also thinking because of somewhat of an anti-Christian
possibly
sentiment. Not that I don't think that's Judy's stance at all.
No, it was just this family. I mean, was
family
it also anti-Jewish then?
Yeah, that's what.
So is it anti-Semitic because her other, like, Margaret's father's Jewish and her grandmother's Jewish,
and also trying to push.
Trying to push Judaism on her, and she didn't want it.
Yeah, so it's very strange. But
I love that she's a communist because of this book.
That's fun. And it's like so ironic because communism is known for censorship.
I know.
It's like when I remember going to like a movie night with some people and we watched a censored version of V for Vendetta, and I'm like, I'm so confused. Like, are we?
What did they censor out of it?
I think they censored like the. I'm trying to remember.
Was it like the female prisoners who were
their love story?
Yeah, the lesbians.
Yeah. But wasn't that like the turning point where she's like?
That's like that's a massive crux in the story.
Anyway, it's just the irony of censorship, I think, is lost on several people who like to throw the communist word around.
Yeah. And joke's on them, because if this book wasn't censored or challenged, we would never have read it. Yeah. We wouldn't have known it existed. So they just made it more popular for us.
It did.
Yeah, joke's on them. We're actually talking about this book.
Yeah.
It could have been lost in 1970, and it's 2022, baby, and we're reading Are You There, God? It's me, Margaret.
And there's a movie coming out.
There's a movie coming out?
Yeah.
Who's in it?
I'm not positive, but Rachel McAdams, I think, is
Stop.
Yes. So going back to Regina George, like, it
all comes full circle. Oh my gosh, that's really funny.
But yeah, Judy wrote this one thing on her website that I really liked. She said, "Censors don't want children exposed to ideas different from their own. If every individual with an agenda had his or her way, the shelves in the school library would be close to empty. I wish the censors could read the letters kids write." And then she quotes a letter. "Dear Judy, I don't know where I stand in the world. I don't know who I am. That's why I read to find myself. Elizabeth, age 13.
Oh my gosh, that gave me chills, because I feel that way too.
Yeah. And Judy goes on to say, "It's not just the books under fire now that worry me. It's the books that will never be written, the books that will never be read, and all due to the fear of censorship." Because she talks about how censoring comes from fear, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. "As always, young readers will be the real losers." Take that out of context and she's...
Run with it.
But yeah, it's true. Like, if Margaret were a real person, Madge, mm-hmm. and she didn't have this book, yeah, to have like the comfort of knowing someone else is navigating through all of these questions and thoughts would be so comforting. Like, she had to navigate this by herself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes me think of, actually, Bless Me Ultima, which we just did. And because he also has the exact same questions in that book. Like, they're both navigating and seeking to feel God somewhere, and therefore some sort of, like, some sort of organization within the chaos of their own lives. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, I think it's such a shame for people to be so afraid of their kids trying to navigate this, because once their kids do navigate it, they will have convictions. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing, no matter where those convictions lie. Well, actually, not no matter where they can lie, because some convictions are pretty ugly. Shouting out to the censorship crew. But I think, like, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's a really big shame, because Nicolle, of 11 years old, would have really enjoyed this and really felt kindred spirits with Margaret, for sure. Mm-hmm. So that's too bad. It's too bad I didn't know about it then.
I also looked up a little bit of period history. They didn't say the word period on national ads until 1985.
Wow.
This was published in 1970. And then,
do you think that's why this was censored a lot too? Just because of the period talk?
Maybe.
Because do you want to tell us a little bit about like the Turning Red thing?
Yeah, Turning Red thing.
Turning Red, the Disney Plus film, the Disney movie.
The Disney movie, produced and directed by all women, is about it's a coming of age story of a young girl who is trying to navigate these strong emotions and the metaphor translates to her turning into a giant red panda, and navigating that in her middle school years. And so the metaphor there can be a lot of things, like, but the most obvious one is periods.
Yeah, she just started her period.
Navigating all the strong emotions that come from all the surging hormones. And just all the really cringy preteen stuff that most girls go through.
Oh, so like most cringy, yeah.
Just like drawing her crush as a merman.
Which we've all done.
I mean, I remember, just reading Twilight. That's like a big
just
thing.
The fact that we read Twilight is so cringy, and I know like Gen Z loves it right now. But like, gosh,
so cringy. And just
I felt so much shame reading Twilight,
but I couldn't put
it down under my sheets.
And just there's a lot of parents up in arms because of it was a mix of period talk, a mix of a child being defiant, and disobeying parents, and which is funny because the mother is an example of what happens when you don't defy parents at some point in a healthy way. Because all kids rebel in some way or another. That's just like the short of it for.
Very good. Yeah. But yeah, so we're seeing that backlash right now for that movie. Yeah. And it's fascinating because I was really surprised that we saw this backlash. And maybe it's because I'm so like progressive when it comes to menstruation. But yeah, it's really surprising as a woman who like menstruation is every month. Yeah. It's like 90% of my issues every month. And so like, I don't know why I'm told I need to keep it secret and be shameful about it. It's literally my biology.
Yeah. And like half the world population goes through it.
Also, like, it's a sign of health.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. But it is, though. Like, and it's not, it's like saying you should feel shame that you have to urinate. Yeah. Like, your body, like, there's nothing I can do to stop this. This is what it is. And if you're going to make me feel bad about it, it's just so much sexism. It's just so much sexism, making me feel bad that my body does a thing that is necessary to have a child, and you don't want to talk about it because it's gross to you. But it's just, once again, whatever. We don't need to get into it today because there will be other days. I remember coming across a funny meme on Instagram of a woman kind of like with equations floating behind her head, and the Reading Rainbow being is playing on it. And the caption was me thinking about how women have periods, get pregnant, go through pregnancy, go through labor, go through childbirth, then later go through menopause, and men just live their lives. Just like, yeah, we need to talk about it. And we
carry all of that shame around things that happen so naturally to us, and
it's like, and we also don't give away free feminine hygiene products in public schools. That's what also kills me.
The pink tax too.
Yeah, and it's expensive. It really is expensive. That's why I started using a menstrual cup, is because I was like, I knew that there would come times in my life where I didn't have access to tampons or to buy a tampon. Like, it's just like, it's such a joke.
And also, I was reading, I didn't finish looking this up. But I was reading that there were like multiple attempts to get some regulation around tampons and the chemicals used in them.
Yeah.
And they were rejected like all of those times.
Mm-hmm.
I did not end up finding out whether or not
it's crazy.
It has been passed or anything.
Yeah, it's crazy. The stuff that we as women put in our bodies to keep things casual.
Yeah.
Okay, keep telling me about Judy Blume.
Oh, that's all I have.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love Jude's. So why is it?
Well, what's your guess at why it was banned?
Okay, my theory, just because I'm learning that everyone hates anytime anyone talks about religion. So I'm going to guess it's because she doesn't feel God in any of these places. So I feel like probably a lot of Christian groups were pretty against it. That's my theory. And now that we've talked about turning red, I'm probably also because she talks about her period. And they don't want little boys reading about it. Reading about periods.
So my guess is it's like, I went pretty specific. So they do mention a Playboy in there.
Oh, yeah. Her dad. That was weird.
That was weird.
That was definitely a generational thing that I was like, I do not identify with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. At one point, she's like, my dad has Playboys. And she was like, but recently he's not been keeping them like out on the kitchen table or something.
Yeah.
And he's like hiding them now that I'm getting older. And I was like, he was just having them on display. Like, this was just like a normal thing in your family that your dad had Playboy. Like, he didn't feel any shame about it.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to feel shame about our periods. But, and then she was like, she grabbed a Playboy to show her friends or something. I don't know. I don't remember if she ever grabbed it, but like, she was supposed to.
Yeah, because she was talking about like, so they go.
It's very weird.
They talk about bras later.
Mm-hmm. That was cute.
Like, that was cute, and ended up like stuffing her bra for a school dance and stuff. But
it's really cute.
I think she just referenced the Playboy
and sad
because she's like, yeah, those are what boobs look like.
Yeah,
and I don't have those.
Yeah, that was weird. There was just like and the thing about it that was weird for me was like there was just such like an obvious thing of like, yeah, my dad has Playboys but he doesn't have them around the house anymore. And like the really disturbing thing was like she didn't understand why he didn't have them around the house anymore. But for me, the real I feel like that was like what they wanted the disturbing thing to be. But for me, as a human being of 2022, it was like, what the heck? Why is he having Playboy magazines everywhere? And like this family dynamic is just like chill.
But yeah, chill. I think that was like pretty common.
I have no idea. It just sounds bad. It just sounds gross.
I mean, pre-internet.
Yeah.
Where else are you?
But like, I would be. Can you imagine? Like, hey, me and my husband. Like, hey, oh, your Playboy came in.
Yeah.
I'll just have it on the counter for you. Yeah. You can look over it while we're all sitting listening to the radio. Because also this takes place in 1930. It doesn't. It's 1970. I just can't picture Mr. Brady, which is my reference point for this whole book. I cannot picture Mr. Brady pulling out his Playboy. Mm-hmm. Did the Brady Bunch go to church?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Who knows?
Maybe we should ban them.
So my other two guesses are period and then general feelings around religion.
Okay.
All right. So here are a list of some reasons people challenged this book. In 1982, it was challenged in Alabama and Wisconsin because the book is sexually offensive and amoral.
Whoa. And it says here also that in the 70s, like, there was no problem with it. And then in 1980, it became a big deal. And Judy Blume says, it came with the election, the presidential election of 1980. And the next day, I've been told the censors were crawling out of the woodwork and challenging, like, it's our turn now, and we're going to say what we don't want our children to read. Fascinating.
That is fascinating. Okay.
Sexually offensive and amoral.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We're reading this live.
Yeah.
Okay, it was challenged in Ohio because of the book's two themes of sex and anti-Christian behavior were deemed inappropriate. Profane, immoral, and offensive in Montana. And those are generally it. I wonder, like, the 2 themes of sex includes period.
Probably. And, like, budding sexuality.
Yeah.
They're pretty vague charges.
Those are super vague.
To be honest. And interesting that it wasn't so explicit about religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating. That's too bad. Because it's like but honestly, it got us reading it. Mm-hmm. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, censors. I'm curious if it was men censoring it or if it was women.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there was, like, a lot of women involved in it. Mm-hmm. But fascinating.
I'm going to say stereotypically it probably will be women because they are more involved with education and children.
Historically and stereotypically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, generally.
Yep.
You did say stereotypically, but whoops. I'm not going to, no, you did.
Whoops.
But I'm not going to let them take it out of context.
The kids are the real losers. That's taken out of context.
Judy didn't actually mean that. Yeah, so that was a great read.
That was.
Thoroughly enjoyed. Highly recommend it.
Agreed.
If you want to talk about your body. If you want, it's pretty fun. I hope Eden learns that even if her kids don't go to public school, there still might be a creepy little neighbor kid.
Yeah.
That'll crawl over the fence and talk about her period all the time. To her
Go home, Nancy. No one wants you here.
You're a liar and you're dumb. Eden's a really cool, supportive mom. But, so we'll figure that out. But our next book, do you want to present that?
Yeah. Are we doing Song of Solomon?
No, we're doing Huckleberry Finn.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were just talking about Song.
Okay. Because I couldn't put it down, I'm sorry, but I'm going to reread it.
Okay.
Plus it's so good.
The next book we're going to read is The Adventures... Is it... Cut that.
Edited.
Okay. The next book we're going to read is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one that we went through our local bookshop to find.
The only one that didn't have a gross cover, an annoying cover, gross, and like bad fonts.
Or Jims who look like Kanye West.
Oh yeah, there was a cover that we'll get into it, but that was strange. And the Huckleberry looked a lot like Justin Bieber.
It was strange.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's our next book.
Someone's in the wrong. Could be us, could be them.
Mark.
Don't know. So we look forward to that. So read Huckleberry Finn.
Alright, get your guys in.
TTYL.
Burn This Book is produced by us, Nicolle and Eden Wen.
Music written by me, Nicolle, and produced and performed by my dad, Frank.